Kenny Omega's had the title since AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming, and it doesn't seem like there's anyone in sight that could take that belt off of him. But do you see someone taking the title off of Kenny Omega in AEW?
Well, it sure as hell isn't going to be Orange Cassidy, so let's get that out of the way. Not
Damn
him.
it. Damn
Ain't
it.
going to be that guy. I think that the dynamic they have going right now is interesting. I do think that Jungle Boy is one of those guys that, I could see it happening. I don't think he's going to be the guy that takes the title off him just yet.
Right.
If there is one guy or two guys that I think that pop out in my mind that I could see beating him at some point further down the road, one of them is going to be Adam Hangman Page. And, the story's already written there. Everybody knows that. Everybody kind of has the feeling or the assumption that he's going to be the guy that's going to work his way back to the title and take the belt off of Kenny. I could foresee that. If there's somebody that I would rather see, because I'd rather see them build this guy up, and especially because he's he's always had some buzz around him and he always has a certain level of intrigue to him, it's Darby Allen. Darby and Jungle Boy, I think, are comparable in the sense that, the fan base, especially the AEW fan base, is extremely loyal to these two. Jungle Boy has had, ups and downs and some big moments, and I think people have just come to accept that. He's really talented. He's somebody that has a lot of potential, but I think Darby has had bigger moments, and I think that Darby has a more loyal fan base. And again, he just has more intrigue to him because there's always a little bit of a mystery to him. There's always that, what's he going to do next? There could be some crazy moments, some crazy spot in his matches, but he still delivers, and he lays it in there, and he's great in the ring. And he has that underdog factor where people can still buy into him. And he works really well for his size. It's always believable, even when he's going against the bigger guy. Not that Kenny's, this big, crazy muscle-bound guy or like 6'5", whatever, but I'm going to say Darby. I'd want to see Darby be the guy to take the belt off of Kenny Omega.
Right. And when you look at, let's just look at the facts here. Since Kenny Omega has been the AEW champion, you would think he would be the top star in AEW, but honestly, I don't see it. Darby Allen, when he was TNT champion, was a consistent ratings draw. Every time he was on, he was either the top ratings draw or his segment went higher than the previous segment or the one afterwards. The guy has drawn numbers, and maybe you could equate that to, Sting is there and people just want to see Sting, but I don't think that's the case. I think there is, like you said, loyalty to Darby Allen and loyalty to Jungle Boy. I could totally see Darby Allen doing it. And, I will say, there's definitely, he's undersized for a world champion on the mainstream level. But, Rey Mysterio also was undersized. Yeah. And you could play that same kind of character that Rey Mysterio was when he was world heavyweight champion in the mid-2000s. So I could totally see Darby as that guy. Another guy that you could think of that the fans are really loyal to, and you heard his reaction when he was the first guy out on Double or Nothing, and that's Hangman Page. And there's already a story there. And I feel like the story's going to end with him taking the title off of Kenny.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially because there's so much history there. Right now, you've got the Young Bucks and Kenny really creating this. I don't know if you want to call it a faction, but this group and the elite. And we saw Adam Hangman Page walk away from the group, probably going back. What was that, 4 or 5 months ago?
Probably earlier.
Saying that he was going to do his own thing, and he's a guy that has the talent, has the look, has the size, has pretty much everything that you'd want out of a champion. And I could see the fans really getting behind him. So whether it's one of those two, I could easily see that. Other than that, I mean, unless in some way MJF works his way to the title, Cody, somebody like that, those would be maybe some dark horse choices. But I don't really see anybody else off the top of my head being able to do that.
Yeah, I made a list here, and Cody was on my list because, obviously when I think, and I'll say this all the time, when I think of the top champion in a promotion, that is your most marketable. It's not always the best wrestler. It's not always the best promo. It's your most marketable wrestler. That's why Hogan was the champion. That's why Cena was the champion. That's why Ric Flair was the champion. They're the most marketable for a promotion. Cody right now is probably the most marketable in AEW. He's the guy, he does his show on TBS, the Go Big show. He's the guy that takes the media calls. He is the face of AEW. And I know there's the stipulation where because he lost to Chris Jericho, he can't challenge for the title ever again. But storylines. You could always write a story. You could always write an out for it, and you could have him win the title. And I know that right now there's some people that don't quite are behind him right now and maybe have that, he shoved down our throats. He always, has the Triple H effect or whatever. You know what? If people watch him, people are supporting him, the vocal minority can say what they want, but he's marketable. So the other marketable guy, I think, ever since Double or Nothing 2019 is Jon Moxley. And obviously with the story there, already having that title, you can have it where he wins it back from Kenny Omega. And after a year-long, battle with them and always going back and forth, you're always going to have that feud between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. It's never going away. And you can always pace out the matches like they've done so far. So I could totally see Moxley taking the title off of him. What about the incoming Andrade?
Yeah, I could see it. But he's also really new and really fresh.
True, but he's also challenging for the AAA Mega Championship. So as part of the belt collector thing, what better way to get Kenny Omega pissed off by having the same guy take not only one, but two belts off of him?
Right. Yeah, no, I can see that too. It also kind of depends on who they bring in from other promotions. Right now, Aleister Black is a free agent. Daniel Bryan, who knows what's happening with him? But I mean, Daniel Bryan is a guy. The difference between a guy like Andrade and Daniel Bryan is Andrade has all the talent in the world. Daniel Bryan has all the talent in the world, but Daniel Bryan is a main eventer because WWE had him main event, win at WrestleMania. Correct. People know that. Andrade, people look at him and they're like, he can be a main eventer. He just hasn't done it on a big stage other than a takeover or something like that. But if you bring in somebody like Daniel Bryan, here we go with hypotheticals, but we're having a hypothetical conversation. Yeah, Daniel Bryan can go and challenge for the title and realistically beat Kenny Omega in a dream match. I wouldn't even have a problem with that at all. I don't think many people would. Andrade, yeah, I could see it. Interesting. Christian, they had that little tease of that. I don't think Christian would be a guy they'd put the title on, at least not yet. I think they'd want to go with somebody younger. So I still think Darby and Hangman would be the best choices.
How about the guy that was basically the star of Double or Nothing to close it out, Sammy Guevara?
I don't think Sammy's there yet. I think Sammy has a tendency to, he's good on the mic. He's over. Sometimes, and I'm just being honest here, you'll watch a Sammy match and there'll be one or two spots that are a little botchy. He needs to be built up a little bit more, but yeah, I could see that too. I think out of the inner circle, other than Santana Ortiz going and challenging for the tag team titles, I think he's the guy that has probably the most potential in the upside.
I agree. I mean, there's definitely upside there. I don't know if it leads to a TNT championship or a world championship, maybe both, because, they've only been in existence for 2 years and AEW has plenty of guys that can be either a TNT championship or a world championship. Sammy Guevara, I think, when you talk about marketability, is that guy. In a world of social media, he's a guy that has a successful vlog on YouTube and is probably, he's active on social media. So you could definitely use him in that role for AEW and could definitely play that role as well. And, like I said, Hangman, Darby, Moxley, Cody, and Andrade, those guys that they could all be, or they either can be or already are marketable. You bring up hypotheticals, Daniel Bryan, definitely marketable. He, like you said, already a main eventer. Aleister Black, I mean, a lot of people say he's the guy that could be the next big star, but, WWE didn't know how to use him.
They say that about you could say that about a million people.
They do. And the guy that I say could have been the next big star and was recently released is Braun Strowman. Oh. So I, so I take it you're not a Strowman guy to go to AEW and take the title off of Kenny Omega.
No, hell no. No way. No. I don't care if he goes to AEW. I'm not one of those people that are advocating for him to be unemployed because he said something so dastardly about the indie scene and whatever. You know what? People say stupid shit all the time. It doesn't mean they shouldn't have the opportunity to kind of build themselves back up or right their wrongs. I don't think he ever foresaw himself being let go from the WWE and the role that he was in. But God, no way. He was nowhere near ready. And I know we disagree on this all the time. Nowhere near ready to be a main eventer in the WWE. Nowhere near ready to be a main eventer in AEW. He can't talk. He can hardly wrestle. He's not that good. No, he's a big guy, and if you put him back in the Attitude Era, he gets lost in the mix again, up against other more relatable, better, bigger guys who were much more over, who were cut better promos and can work better than him. He stands out because he's a big guy in an era right now where guys aren't that big.
But none of them can flip trucks and ambulances like he can, and take.
And none of them can make choo-choo train noises like he can.
Well,
I'm not a fan of his.
Kevin Dunn made the choo-choo noises, and I'll admit the choo-choos were not a good part of that with Braun Strowman. But I don't know.
So with Braun, okay, Kenny is a halfway decent promo at best. Would you agree?
At best, yes.
At best, dare I say mediocre. He's quirky. He's a little out there. He kind of comes across as the goofy Joker gimmick, and I say that all the time from the Batman way back when. I don't look Strowman every time he's been given the opportunity to like really go out there and cut a good promo. Like him, the thought of him and Omega going back and forth promo wise against each other. I might start throwing up all over my computer right here in front of me. I just can't. I can't envision it. I think it would be bad, terrible, awful television. It wouldn't do Kenny any favors, and it wouldn't do Strowman any favors. No, I don't see it.
Not even if he comes in and Kenny tries to do the V trigger and Strowman catches him, power slam, it's over, and you make him out to be like this unstoppable monster from the get-go.
And you think that the AEW fans would not go into full meltdown mode if Strowman pulled a Brock and Kofi and power slammed him and beat him just at one move? That's it. Meltdown.
That's why it would work. It would totally work. He could be the top heel in the entire industry by pulling that shit. And Tony Khan would be a booking genius for doing that. And I know a lot of people would not. A lot of people disagree with me on that, and I would love to see it in the comments.
Hold on. Speaking of booking genius here, okay, Mr. Booker of the Year, who the hell other than Tony Khan decided that it was a good idea to have Wardlow and freaking Hager go out there and work a freaking shoot UFC fight? That was awful. And we're veering off course here, but it's warranted. I'm not joking. I hit fast forward and then I fell asleep. And I have not watched any more of Dynamite till I probably watch it after this.
So you're not into Hager and Wardlow for the title either.
Wardlow can be built up. Hager, I think we've seen the best of him. I mean, I don't think so. Wardlow, I like Wardlow. I think he's a big athletic guy. I think he still needs some work, but I think he's got a lot of upside. I think that as soon as he becomes a free agent, that'd be one of the guys that Vince McMahon would go after pretty heavily.
I could see it. I could totally see it. That's definitely in Vince McMahon's wheelhouse of the big, muscly guy. And, Nick Khan calling for 6 feet, 220 plus guys now. Makes a lot of sense for a guy like Wardlow to go to WWE. But at the end of the day, it's talking about Kenny Omega as the world champion. Who takes him down? We have a lot of names here. You going with Darby as the guy, though.
Darby, and I'll throw 2 more names out there just because, again, this is a hypothetical, and AEW is willing to work with other promotions. And we've also seen, with Kenny, other promotions willing to allow their champions to drop the title to Kenny. So hypothetically, what if Kenny drops the AEW championship to somebody outside of AEW? Jay White We've seen them go back and forth on Twitter a little bit here and there. Guys that were both Kenny, former leader of the Bullet Club, Jay White, new leader of the Bullet Club, Ospreay, Okada. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you get into hypotheticals, especially with a company that is willing to go and work with other promotions, you get into all types of crazy dream matches. So I'll throw those names out there too. But I'm going to stick with Darby.
I don't say anybody outside of the promotion. I really don't. If I had to pick one guy to do it, I think it's Hangman Page. Now, I remember when we did our predictions for 2021 this year, I said that Kenny Omega would have the title for the entire year. I think the sample size that we have seen so far kind of shows that that might not happen. I think All Out is when he drops that title. They start the push with Hangman Page, and Hangman Page takes the title in the first big pay-per-view in front of fans against Kenny Omega. In the pay-per-view, 2 years prior, he challenged for that same title for losing to Chris Jericho. So it comes full circle.
Right.
So I think that's where it goes. Where do you guys think? Who do you think Kenny Omega drops the title to in AEW? Kenny Omega, he's one of the top champions in professional wrestling. We had a conversation on who is the top champion in pro wrestling. Is it Kenny Omega? Is it Roman Reigns? Click the thumbnail on the screen right now to check out that conversation. Share this one all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, SCPB Podcast. Subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Psycho Babble.